Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain club rooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
And this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Nights, and I've got Tony VK7XTC in the studio.
Hey Justin.
How you going?
Good.
How's your week been?
Pretty good.
Just
Just work.
Oh, just work.
Just work.
Just work, yeah. I think I can say the same thing, just work.
Yeah, just work.
Okay. Before we get into the fantastic field day wrap-up, which we're going to do tonight, I wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge, the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. Now, the reason Tony is in the studio, and I'll also, after Tony, I'll get Murray and Richard in the studio, because those people who don't know, this studio is all of 3 people wide, so it's a bit hard getting 4 people in the studio at once. I've got Tony in the studio because on Saturday and Sunday was the Summer VHF and Above Field Day, and that field day is anything from 6 metres upwards. It operates for 24 hours from 12 noon, and I'll tell a funny story about that when we get to it. But 12 noon on the Saturday through to 12 noon on the Sunday. You can operate for at either the 8 or the 24 hours. And it involves obviously an exchange of signal reports, but also an exchange of maidenheads. So your grid locators, and it is a distance-based competition. So that's one of the reasons you exchange your grid locators, because the logging software works out between the middle of this grid locator and the middle of this 6-digit grid locator. It is this distance, and gives you works out a multiplier for the band you're using and the distance, and then obviously works out a score. So what you're looking for is high frequency, higher and higher frequency, and greater distance to get those points up. So, where did you operate from, Tony?
Goats Bluff Lookout.
Okay.
South Arm.
Fantastic. Overlooking Betsy Island? No, what's that island called?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, there's a little island out there. And then in between that island, there is a little reef that is quite a famous reef. where a certain large catamaran owner parked a catamaran for a little while. But
Okay.
it's a story from a long time ago that Richard would be able to tell us. So yeah. So how was the field day for you? Give us a bit of a rundown of what the highlights were and what the learnings were.
Well, the highlight was 6 metres.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Because upgrading since the last one,
Yep.
having the extra band was a big plus, and the extra power.
Great.
So that was the highlight this time.
So you were running full power? Was that?
Yeah, I was running full power this time.
Okay. And what sort of antennas were you using at your portable?
I've got an 8-element Yagi for 70 centimetres.
Okay.
I've got a 7-element for 2 metres.
Okay. Wow.
And I was using a extended double ZEP for 6, because I was in a hurry. But yeah, it still worked well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So working towards a Yagi or a Moxon or something for
I don't
6?
know, I'm tossing up between just a 3-element Yagi or something easy and light.
Yep.
Yeah,
And small.
Not too big, yeah.
That's the problem with 6 metres.
And you got to put it up yourself too, when you're on your own. So.
Correct. Okay. So 6 metres. Lots of contacts into mainland?
I was calling mainly on FM.
Okay.
52.525. And I got 3 contacts that weren't in the contest at all. They just wanted the contact.
Okay.
I got 1 that was in the contest.
Okay.
So I logged that one.
Yep.
That was on sideband. No, I got 1 on FM that I logged, 3 that weren't contesting, and then I got 4 on sideband.
Wow.
6 metres.
Okay.
Just with the piece of wire.
Yeah.
And all VK2s.
I love it. With a piece of wire.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
I love it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they were all S9. They were
Yeah,
just fantastically loud.
Yep.
And they went for about, for me, it went for about half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
At about what
opening,
time?
about
Sort of.
between 2 and 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then it dropped off after that.
It just disappeared. It just disappeared. Yeah.
Did the magic band thing.
Yeah, because I could hear a bit of chatter on.
Sorry. Keep going.
I could hear a bit of chatter on the call channel on 51.110. When I first got there before the contest started.
Yep.
I could hear some chatter
Okay.
on 6 metres, but yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Oh no, fantastic.
yeah, it was good.
And local contacts with the 6 and 2, or did you make any DX type contacts with 6 and 2?
No, only on 6.
Yeah. Okay.
2 was just local.
Sorry, 2 and 70.
2 and
Sorry,
70 was
2 and 70.
all local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just being vertically polarised for the local stuff next time
Yeah.
to maximise the locals.
And a
Because
smaller
horizontal,
antenna.
like trying to contact Harry was difficult because he was vertical
Yep.
on low power.
Yep.
Considering like we were, 38 k's away or 28? Yeah.
And that 20 dB of difference between polarisation.
So I think next time I'll do vertical polarisation just for all the local and just have horizontal for 6 and just to make it better for everyone else.
And actually, you could take a Diamond X50 or something, a 2 and 70.
Well, I got one
vertical.
on my base at home.
Yeah. Okay.
I have to get another one if I do that. But
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm just reusing old gear I've got in the shed, the beams. They were just what I used to use in the base station.
Fantastic.
So don't spend any money if you can help it.
Oh no. Well,
Yeah.
hey, it's about reuse and recycling.
Yep.
Well and truly. And in fact, that's a good segue. Do you want to just grab that battery there? It's not very heavy. It's a lithium.
Wow.
You expect to pick up.
It's a lot better than what I was using.
This is only about 3 or 4 kilos, I think. But this is something I got hold of because there were specials on these. These are 12.8 volt or normal 13 to 14 volt batteries. They are lithium ion batteries, 50 amp hour lithium ion batteries. My understanding is they're full of 18650 cells. That's the bottom line, with battery management in the top of it. But you treat them like they are a deep cycle battery, and so, as it says on the label, you can you can charge them with on a cycle charge 14.6 volts, on float charge 14.6 volts, and you can hit them with up to 20 amps of current.
Wow.
And can I just say, I've hit this with 10 amps of current at 14.6 volts. So I dialed into the power supply 14.6 volts and a maximum of 10 amps, and it sits there. It sat there for probably 15 minutes, and then it cycled from 10 amps down to 0, and the battery was charged.
Wow.
And I assume I could probably do that with 20 amps.
And that's your power pole, is it?
That's my power pole. I actually made this up specifically for the field day.
That's what I've got to make up.
This is just a little utility box. It's got a and in fact, what jogged my memory was it's all out of the junk box.
Yeah.
I didn't actually buy anything here apart from the battery. These are Anderson connectors. So there's 3 Anderson connectors in a little Anderson housing that I had in the junk box. Actually, I think it was an XAAD cord. And then there were, these are just banana plugs, high current banana plugs that I had in the drawer. And one of my rigs uses banana plugs and one of them uses Anderson connectors. And so...
And it's just a Chinese voltmeter on the end.
And it's just a Chinese voltmeter on the end. It's telling me... it started off at 13.6 volts. I did a day of operation... and I was running 100 watts on 6, 2 and 70, and 10 watts on 23, and by the end of the day that was 13.1 volts.
Yep.
So, and I was also ran a inverter, a 300 watt inverter off of this to charge the notebook battery.
Yeah, my 300 watt inverter's noisy on HF, so I've got to think of something else.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was using 110 amp hour AGM.
Okay. Okay.
With the solar panels.
Which is a whole lot heavier than this.
Oh yeah. But with the solar panels connected, it just sat at 13.7 the whole day.
Yep.
Didn't budge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were restoring the charge as it was being taken out.
Yep. So it was good.
Okay. So you had take us through the operating position. What where you're operating out of your car or your van or your what?
No, I set up with a an old 60s card table.
Okay.
At the back of the ute.
Yeah.
I usually have a tarp over, but I had the tarp and the side on it this time because of the wind.
Okay.
That and just a comfortable camp chair, and usually have the battery sitting on the back of the tray of the ute.
Okay.
Solar panels out the side,
Yep.
and radios on the card table,
And
the laptop for login.
Yeah. Okay.
And the mast is attached to the ute. It's just self-standing.
Yep. Okay.
So that's it.
Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's it. That's
And so how many contacts did you end up making? Approximately
52.
52. Okay.
So I usually average. Well, the last couple of field days I've done, it's only about 44.
Okay.
So I did better this time, and
truly.
yeah, 6 metres helped.
Yeah.
I need to get the numbers up a little bit further.
And you would have got the points with those with the
5,000 points with the contacts. Yeah.
I love it.
Just for the 6 metre ones.
I love it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah. No,
So happy with your performance and all that sort of stuff. It's just sort of got some things to improve.
Every time you go out, there's things you can improve.
Yep.
You know, like you can modify something, and So
And just
this time I took less stuff out. Whereas the first time I went, I took too much gear.
Yeah.
There's not knowing what to expect. But yeah.
And that's, I have to say, that's probably my main bit of learning each field day is you end up taking less and less out and doing things like this.
Yeah, that's my next project for that.
Because this is effectively all the power I need. And so long as I take the power lead for the rigs with me, don't laugh, you get out, you drive an hour or so out there and you get there and you go, oh shit, it's still on the floor of the shack.
Well, my last field day, I went out and I had a brand new solar panel from BCF.
Yep.
I took it out of the box on the side. I had no cabling. And it was brand new. So, but the battery held up the whole day anyway.
Okay.
But,
Okay. But you just kick
Still,
yourself.
Yeah, it's
You
just a
kick
shock
yourself.
when you get there and you go, oh, what's missing?
And
You know?
and I think the learn. Oh, and hello, hello, David and Ken. Ken from Christchurch in New Zealand. Hello, Ken. And Ron Mann. Pitches seem a bit jerky tonight. Oh, okay. Don't quite know what that is. Whether we've
I've noticed it before.
we've got streaming shortly. Yes, yeah. We're just about to get there, Murray. But the main learning is less and less, or improving things so that it's quicker, or
and it's not messy either, so it's tidier.
Correct. So that was a huge improvement, because basically just plug it straight in. That was it. I had some sort of indication about the state of the battery, which I ended up not even worrying about. And yeah, so that's the improvement for this field day. So yeah.
So I remember you mentioned the Anderson plugs before, and I was going to ask you when I came in what you used, and
Combination.
I'll be happy with this.
Yeah.
Hook 2 radios on and an inverter.
Yep.
You know, well, actually, I'm going to get a DC up
Converter.
Up converter.
Okay.
To power the laptop next time.
Okay.
So,
up to the 19 volts and
18.5, whatever.
Yeah. Just be careful that that's not as noisy as your inverter.
We'll find out. But the inverter was just a real cheap one. So I had to charge the battery up, turn it off, and then operate for a while, then turn it back on, top the battery up in the laptop.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was a lot of noise. It was like S8 compared, because out at Goats Bluff there was zero noise.
Yeah. On HF you were saying?
On 6 metres.
On 6 metres?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, okay, righto.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't hearing noticeable noise, but that doesn't mean there wasn't noise.
No. So, I mean, there was no noise.
Yeah.
At 6 metres, when I turned the inverter on, it went up to S8.
Like, ouch.
Yeah, and it made a huge difference on being able to read the contacts.
Okay.
So,
well and truly.
next time.
Oh, and hello, Andy. 2E0RAE. Very good. So anyway, that's my main improvement this field day, and it worked an absolute treat. So yeah, I actually didn't have. I usually come away with, as you usually do, with some sort of.
I got a jack jumper bite.
Cut or graze or something else. One of the improvements I did was I remembered to take with me. I have some great gloves that I got hold of, which are, they breathe on the back, and they are sticky stuff on the hands. Great for picking things up, and I threw them in at the last minute, and that was fantastic, because they're thin enough for you to be able to do up wing nuts and do up nuts and all sorts of stuff, and you're not getting. And my beams, I've got three beams, so the 6 metre beam, the 2 metre beam, and then the 70 centimetre beam, on a dual length aluminium pole, and I've got a little bracket that clamps onto the roof rack on the van, and then there is a metal cup effectively on the ground that the pole goes in, and then I can put some pegs into that cup to stop it moving at the bottom, which I needed. Can I just say I needed at Eagle Hawk Neck where I was.
It was a bit windy.
It was a bit windy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I remembered the pegs, and I remembered the engineer's hammer to bang the pegs in with. But it's where the pole is just outside the window of where I operate inside the van, and literally I can reach through the window and do the Armstrong method and turn it. But what's happened in past field days is, because it's an aluminium pole, you end up with a black hand.
Yeah.
And because I was wearing the gloves,
You need anodized, really.
oh,
Yeah.
and so because I was wearing the gloves, number one, I had grip on and I didn't end up with a black hand, and I just sort of went, that was a win.
Yeah, cool.
That was a win. So that was good.
So, next one is the winter one, isn't it? They don't do an autumn one.
No. It's the summer and winter field day.
Then spring. Yeah.
So, correct. Summer, spring, correct. Summer, winter, spring,
Yeah.
and then we're back into summer. So and the gap between the spring and the summer's pretty quick. So good stuff.
Yeah.
So
No, all good.
Good.
I'll go and get Murray.
Murray and Tricky.
Yep.
Fantastic. And we'll just do a bit of a reset. I'll drop this down over here. So welcome to a few people who are online, and please if you've got any questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll attempt to answer them. This is a bit of a focus on the Summer VHF and above field day, and which happened last weekend on the Saturday and the Sunday. Ran from noon on Saturday through to noon on the Sunday. Bit of a funny thing about the time that I'll tell you when when Murray and Richard get here. Now Murray and Richard were up on Mt Wellington in a fantastic spot up on Mt Wellington. So they'll tell you all about that, and I'll give you a bit more information about where I was operating and down at Eagle Hawk Neck, down on the Tasman Peninsula. So yeah. Now the rest of after this, what we'll go into is a little bit of a Q&A session, or a little bit of a question session, probably on the class license that we're about to go to on the 19th of February. The class license we've been receiving. No, keep coming in. The class license becomes active on the 19th of February, and I've been receiving a few little questions about the class license that I thought I would share. So hopefully fill in some knowledge gaps for people. Now, welcome to Murray VK7ZMS and Richard VK7ZBX.
Good evening.
How we going?
Marvellous. Living the dream.
Now, you were certainly living the dream on Saturday up on Mt Wellington.
We were
It was a bit of an auspicious start. We broke the field day van on Friday
the
night.
royal we.
The royal we being me.
Friday night?
Well, headband was looking pretty good to New Zealand, and I thought I'd try my luck on 2 metres. So I went to put the mast up, but the anti-rattle device, which is a couple of wraps of insulation tape around the front of the 2 metre
Tensile
yardie,
strength of the electrical tape turned out to be far in excess of
the 3D printed
design.
mounts, and so we smashed all the mounts off the mast.
Okay, and how did you get around that between Friday night and Saturday morning?
Well, we ended up with a 70 centimetre stuff mounted on a temporary mast on the bull bar.
Right.
And
okay.
we, in the top of the extender piece, there's a short piece like this that the 6 metre one puts in, but we also have a tall, big one that came with it, so we just put 6 and 2 quite close together, like about 1.5 metres apart.
Right.
And then we had to put extension cable. Well, actually, no, we had to put the mast up and then lower it down a couple of sections so that the cables were long enough to go through the radio. So, bit of mucking around the setup. Wasn't our usual happy start to the day.
No.
But
And lots of
6 metres made up for it.
the moment we plugged the 6 metre aerial in, like an hour before the start, there was...
That's when you spoke to me?
We gave you a quick time check.
to believe we did.
So what actually happened from my perspective was I was heading down to just above Eagle Hawk Neck, down on the Tasman Peninsula, which is about, if you get a good run, about an hour's drive. And then there's probably 15 minutes up a 4-wheel drive track to get to where you need to get to. So have plenty of time. I get to just before Dunalley, and they're resurfacing the road. And so they're only letting one lane through at a time. So I'm sitting there for 15 minutes looking at my watch going, I'm not going to make it. As it turned out, I actually did get down there and got up there, and I started operating at about 11:05, and as soon as I put out a call, this VK5 came back to me like 20 over. And so I had a contact with him, and then Murray pipes up and says, "Oh, does it start? Has it started?"
Well, I was double guessing myself. I'm like, maybe we're running really late.
Because we were running a bit late. And I said to Murray, I'm sure it starts at 12. Yeah, I think it does.
And then I looked up. And I went, okay. So I was actually quite early. And I was set up, and I had conversations with VK5s and VK2s and...
No, there was lots of 6 metre activity prior to the start. I don't know what time it started, but when
Probably a shame it didn't start at 11. We probably would have worked a bit more. But
Well, VK5, I didn't make a VK5 contact or a VK6 contact.
we didn't make a VK6.
we didn't make a VK6.
Did we make a VK5? I thought we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, literally, after 12, I didn't hear any VK5s, and it was not for the want of trying.
Yeah.
Turning the beam round to VK5 and VK6.
Sure you were turning it to...
Oh no! I was well and truly. But I
get
just
that effect if you put the antenna on the mast backwards.
yeah, correct. Yeah, that was a couple of field days ago where I couldn't work out why I wasn't getting any decent signals on 6, and then I realised that I'd actually put the 6 metre beam on backwards
180 degrees
to the other two.
Yeah, a similar thing with the wind. Poor old Murray's got the Kerr going, even 6 metres and
Yeah.
absolute crack. I've gone out to get a coffee and I'm like, oh mate,
We're facing due south.
you work in the short path to South America, right?
Yeah.
And these are the sort of things you do on field days. You just please.
Yeah.
So, what frequencies did you have the ability to operate up on the mountain?
2 to
6 metres?
6 metres through to 10 gigs, with the exception of
6
5.8.
metres,
Yeah.
Okay.
No 6
Okay,
metres. Yeah.
fantastic.
So we had 3 contacts on, or 2 contacts on 2.4,
Okay,
and we had a few contacts on 3.4. We worked with 2 guys up north, Andrew and
Okay.
James,
okay.
and we worked
And where were they at?
White Hills.
White Hills. Yeah.
It's
okay.
always a bit of not confusion, but a quandary for them, because they like to go to White Hills because they can work us.
Yeah.
But they're on the south side of the hill, so they can't work any decks across the strait. I think they worked the guys up the north east. I think they worked DC and
Eric and-
yeah.
I could hear them working EV, but we couldn't. We could hear EV, but he wasn't responding to us. It was just a bit,
So
He was all pointed in the other direction.
yeah, and he did actually say on Facebook that he didn't have time to point south. So that's the only downside to where Peter and the boys sort of set up. Is it's great for us, but it's sort of we sort of feel a bit guilty sometimes that they work us and they can't work a lot of others on.
But they'd still have local contacts, I assume, that they could do back into London.
oh, yeah.
London. Yeah. So
yeah,
like
we had-
us, they'd have the sort of the local group, and then.
But the signals were really good on 2.4 and 3.4.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
really good.
Yeah.
Like FM, full quieting.
Yep.
Like, great. Even 10 gigs, it took us a little while to get frequency sort of stabilised, because we were drifting about a bit, so we weren't GPS locked, but on FM it worked okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Which
okay.
I think we'll actually fix for next time. Because we've always in the field day, we're not working EME, so we don't need to be GPS locked, and it's always a bit of a fiddle, and I think it'd be just easier if we actually...
If you call someone and you have a bit of a contact, and then you notice that when they call back a few minutes later, they're actually like out of the passband.
No,
It's like,
annoying.
Which happens. Oh no. So what were the highlights? What were your sort of highlight contacts?
3A2 DGB, or whatever his call sign was.
3D2AG.
3D2AG, yeah.
From
and
Fiji.
Antoine,
Fiji,
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't work him.
And,
You got him early because you had a crack early on.
Yeah, and a ZL or 2 in the log.
Okay.
And heaps of VK4s, heaps of VK4s.
Yes.
Heaps of VK2s.
4s, 2s, 1s,
No threes.
3s.
No 3s. I didn't work a single VK3.
You didn't work a 3?
No, it must have been a
On 2, 7,
I worked a few
or
3s.
6.
Yeah.
Did work a few 3s. Later in the piece, before it all disappeared. So it was obviously
Murray
moving.
tried, because Murray sort of gave it a crack from the word go, and he was just knocking them dead.
Yeah.
So I mopped up all of the local guys
So-
on sort of VHF, UHF,
Yeah.
And then I
went,
gave him the 6 metre
Yeah.
mic.
and I think I worked a
Okay.
few double ups, but I think there was probably some different ones.
Okay.
But you know, like
Okay.
And then after that we sort of had bite deep, and then I got the key going, and I was just like calling, and I worked a few more stations, but it had definitely died off, and I didn't get any VK. Although I did have the key running for half an hour, I reckon, with the antenna facing due south, which is a bit sad.
we never know
Okay.
what.
Thinking you're going to work what?
Mind you, though,
No,
6 metres is the sort
Long
of
path
band.
to South America.
No, it just
Yeah.
the wind just blew it around.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah, we didn't have it locked off.
Now, did you have bad wind up there?
No.
No, it was perfect.
little bit of wind,
No,
but
no.
only for a few minutes. And
I had wind. I
because
was
we
a few
didn't have
times.
wind, we didn't have it locked off because we
Yeah.
were just turning it. And
Okay.
Then, yeah.
Because
So you were in a 4-band.
same store,
Yeah.
4-band. So I was 6'2", 70 and 23. So pole with the 3 beams on there, and then a separate little tripod with the 23 just
The other
pointed into
thing
town.
that impacts us a little bit is that when the wind's coming up over the edge of the mountain, where you're standing doesn't seem to have much wind, but the wind is clearly going up. And so up at the top of the mast is a lot windier, which is,
Yeah, okay,
I suspect,
okay.
what caught us out.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a
because
interesting-
there wasn't a whole lot of wind on the ground at any
No,
stage.
we toyed with the idea of putting the annex out, didn't we? And we went, that's great. Like,
Yeah, we could have put the annex out easy, but it wasn't hot. It wasn't hot enough. We didn't need to.
Yeah, okay.
It was,
And you said
Hey,
earlier
right.
that there was an awful lot of people at the top of the mountain.
I can't
the
believe how many
traffic
people
was
were there.
almost constant.
Okay.
So
Had a
I'd
few people even told me look out the side of the van because I sit on the left-hand side, like facing the thing.
Yeah.
Quite often you'll turn around and like a foot from your face will be a phone taking a picture.
to be fair, we do have QR codes on the outside of the van, so.
Excellent, excellent.
But it got to the point where we wanted to just go down over and sort of check the scenery over the other side of the road, and it's like I'll come back.
Yeah, right. Okay. Okay. Oh no, well, fantastic. So learnings from the field day, apart from putting it up with the.
Look, apart from relearning
insulation tape.
about having everything ready to go, it was a disappointing put up, and I think the one thing we probably did learn is the original brackets that we had made for the mast didn't allow us to put the set screws in, and so we have to constantly run the compressor to keep the mast up.
Okay.
Which we've somewhat mitigated by having it up the road away from the. Well, we've got an external compressor hooked up, and it's not really a pain. But because we had to put the mast up and then lower it down, we had no other option but to use the set screws. And of course, the brackets that were stopping us were broken and smashed, and on my rounder at home, so not in the way. So we put it all up, put the screws in, most of them, let it down so we could get the cable inside, and
Is that a reverse order that done do it?
yes, I think we're going to try and make the next set of brackets so that we can possibly lock
Incorporate
them
the
off.
locking brackets in
The trick is that to make the brackets fit, we actually removed the bits that do the locking. That was where we put them. So I'm not quite. I don't have a plan yet.
Okay. Okay.
But it will involve.
A cunning plan's being.
It'll involve KOJ and some 3D printing, and I suspect a number of drafts.
Well, there was quite a number of drafts with Phil.
There was the first time we had.
Right.
But I think we're going to upgrade the coax on the at least 2 metre 70 centimetre and 1296 Yagi.
Okay.
We've got only RG58 on 2 and 70.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
only
it was
about
only
8
a-
metres long.
It was only ever put up as
Sort
a
of-
sort of a bit of a temporary thing, but you know.
So
still,
we're going to look at putting the VK, the mini kits preamp at the top for 2 and 70,
Okay.
and run probably some maybe some Messi and Poloni.
Yep.
Ultraflex or something down, which will make it easy to fit in through the hole.
Yep.
got an amp on 2 meters. It should give us 100 watts now.
Okay.
We've got a,
Okay.
Got 50 watts on 23 centimetres.
Wow. Okay.
we haven't got that in the van yet. That's still sitting on the bench, but
But we also
we're getting there.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we're looking to hopefully, you never know, in the not too distant, we might be looking at getting some 5.7 gig
Correct.
stuff.
Correct,
Depending on what happens with.
Got those grid packs already.
We've got the
sitting
grid
there.
packs. And we've got the grid packs. And we've got those 40 watt amps and stuff. So
And the transverters appear to be a 2024 project by
I heard,
SG Labs?
History and so.
Well, I haven't replied with a.
a date yet.
I tried to pre-order some and they didn't reply.
So did I.
Oh. Did you?
Have you noticed that they are the most expensive transverter on the German website?
Hmm.
On
They,
what website?
The
On
5.7
the,
5.7
Coon.
gig transverters are more expensive than the G5 10 gig transverters.
Oh, on the Coon website. Sorry, you just said German website.
Well,
Need
I
to
sort
be-
of
need
tried
to
to
be
be-
more
I
specific.
was trying to be a little bit.
Might be on the other website. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there you go. See, we need to reverse that trend of it being a rare band.
Because it'd be nice to have that, and I'd really like to try.
I don't
There's a
know.
bit of stuff kicking around for 24 gigs, and I think I've found a relay that we're going to try and get Rex to because Rex's standby system has just got the 2-watt Coon transverter, and he's got the 2 antennas, a receive and transmit.
Yep.
So Jack PR3DZL's got some relays that he swept to 24 gigs with only 0.1 dB insertion loss.
Okay.
So we're going to try and get one of those, and we've got some 600mm dishes with WR42 waveguides, like vertical and horizontal.
Yeah.
So if we get one of those relays, like 2 watts into a 600mm dish would be pretty
Nice.
So
Then you've got a whole new world of water absorption ahead of you.
yeah. It'd be just nice to get Peter and the guys
And in
up
fact, there's a article in here about that. So yeah. Okay. No, well that's fantastic. Now, log checking.
on checking.
Didn't do it.
Okay.
I did the
Well, wait till
basic check.
you.
I did the basic check where I went through and looked for things like VK700.
Yep.
I looked for
As you do.
too many letters in the call sign.
Yep.
And I looked for distances that looked odd, like grid squares that just sort of looked odd.
Yep.
And the good thing and the bad thing about VKCL is that if you put it in right the first time, you're gold.
Oh, correct.
If you mess it up the first time, you are poop.
And I do believe I got your grid wrong the first time. I had to go back and correct it, but I did that. So
Okay.
And also modes too. There was a few
Thank
when we were
you.
on 6 metres that we worked obviously on SSB
yeah,
that somehow or other, it's FM.
it doesn't matter.
They're all FM.
It doesn't matter.
It
It
does,
doesn't
'cause
change
on
the
the-
scoring.
In the Cabrillo log, well that's right, but
It doesn't
does,
change
it
the
does.
scoring.
it's still nice to have it right.
Oh, correct.
But
So,
I think as Murray,
I try and correct mine on the day.
I think Murray will agree that there's a significant chance that some of those VK2s will be not in the log because, you know, it was
Towards
quite,
the end of the day, there's some really low signals.
Low
But at
signals
the beginning
and-
of the day, everyone was S5 plus.
and just getting some of those grid square phonetics.
Yep.
It's like, oh,
The first few people I worked were 10/9 easily.
yeah.
the last few we worked
And like
with.
you've got a bigger antenna than us, but
The classic example for me was it was a VK2, I think it was a VK2, or it might have been a VK3, who said, I made the contact with him, exchanged everything, and he said, you're actually off the side of the beam. He said, let me bring it around. And off the side of the beam he was 5'9".
Wow.
When he turned it around, I didn't have enough thingos on the S meter.
right, it was just full.
It was
That's
60
where I think,
watts.
you know, having the beam, I think having a directional antenna on a lot of bands will give you a definite advantage. But I think on 6 metres sometimes, you know what?
Look, there is that, but it does help. It definitely does help.
Oh, definitely. No.
Yeah.
So, especially on 6. I would have loved to have had a Moxon
Mm.
and
And the 4 elements.
a 4 element
Yeah.
on the same and been able to switch between
AB
them,
switch, yeah.
just because they were so strong, and see whether there's any difference, and for those weaker signals, see which one was better.
Look,
The beam with the
everything I've
beach.
read seems to indicate the Moxon somewhere around about just below a 3 element, like
Yeah.
not arguing.
So it would have had a little bit of advantage with the 4 elements. So,
But it's certainly the Moxon over just the vertical or whatever. Makes a lot of difference. Like when the ZL came up and I knew it was off the side of the beam, as soon as I heard the ZL, I just like tricky with some mid contact with somebody on 2 metres, and I just
No, it's just lurched
reached
across the
over
front
and just pushed the thing. I'm like, sorry, I need the signal for a minute because I needed to get his.
because I was working a
kids
guy on 2 metres, so all of a sudden,
and he just went from scratchy, barely seeing him to like S5. He was 5x5 easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
the only
Absolutely.
real sort of takeaway bits that I forgot. I've forgotten the headset, which was a bit of a pain.
Yeah, that was a learning, but we've learned that before.
So you both operate with headset?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to
Yeah.
when there's 2 of you.
So,
around.
okay.
But it's not
Otherwise-
so bad because the noise cancelling mics are pretty good. That if you're talking and the guy next door is talking as well,
It's all,
It-
but it's all you.
yeah.
It's
whereas when you're trying to hear, and of course you're trying to turn the volume up while sort of Murray's talking
Quite.
to just try and hear the number and the grid square, you know, and of course you watch his face and he's like concentrating to try and get a course on. You turn it up, and it's like, dude.
Can't hear over here.
yeah. So there was a bit of glaring between the,
The
the operating positions.
Look, we had one set of headphones, and we used the headset on 6 metres, and everything else was.
But
not.
look, it's one of those things. Is that and we also changed this year. We normally use the 9700 and the 991, and this year we changed it around a little bit. We actually had 23 centimetres on the transverter and an FT817, so it was separate.
So we had
23 centimetres, and
you didn't have to stop using 2 metres to use 23.
Okay.
So we had 70 and 2 on the dual bands of the 9700, and 6 metres on the other one, and everything else is on a separate radio.
Yeah.
So if someone called on 3.4,
You heard them.
straight away they came up. Yeah.
And see, I've taken the decision that I only take 2 rigs with me.
Yeah.
For full bands, I only take 2 rigs. So the 847 is 6.2 and 70.
Yep.
And then I've got a separate 23, so a 1271 for 23.
Yeah.
The disadvantage with that is you're only hearing one band on the 847. You're hearing 23 all the time.
Probably the only little disadvantage to having 4 transverters effectively is we were lucky with the 10 gig system because its IF was 146.
That one,
okay.
Yes.
Which was good, whereas all the others were 435. So you'd have it up, and when you'd call on 2.4, you'd come straight out of the IF. So
we had 2 on 435, which was annoying, which we really needed. I'm pretty
Can
one
you
on
change that?
146.
I'm not sure we can and stay within the band, so I have to have a bit of a look at that.
Okay.
But we've also got one that's got an IF on 144.
Yes, yeah. That's
150. So again, that's a pain. So we've got to try and have a bit of a move.
Just so, because it's really nice. Not that we have a huge amount of activity on 10 gigs, or in fact 2.4. There was really only the boys up north.
Yeah. Okay.
But further down the track, there's a few other guys that we can hopefully.
No, well and truly. And if propagation's in your favour, hey, I did purposely, when 6 metre, I had really rock crushing 6 metre signals, I would purposely go to 2.
Yeah, well, I was doing the same. While Murray was banging a heap of contacts away on 6, I was on 144, 150 doing.
Look for sporadic-e, and I heard nothing, absolutely nothing.
We thought at
2
one
metres
stage we could hear something, but we couldn't pull a call sign out.
Yeah. Okay.
You can see a bit on the
Somebody
waterfall.
was replying. Somebody was hearing us and trying to reply, because I was running the Kia for probably a good 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And you could hear it was regular enough that I went, they must be replying to us, because at the end of the call they'd come up for a bit, and then you go QRZ, say again, and it'd come again, and then I couldn't pull a call.
And it was real sporadic because you'd hear a word
And
come
then
out of the
nothing.
noise.
Yeah. Or a syllable.
Yeah.
Or just some noise.
Yeah.
Just some noise.
Just some
A few
noise.
times on 144 just heard some noise. Yeah.
Well, it was good fun. And look, I think we sort of, even though we didn't, this is probably one of the few years we didn't actually end up chatting to any punters. It's quite often people will sort of like walk past and sort of say good day.
It's almost every field day we get some overseas
Walk-ups.
hams that come in and
Well,
introduce themselves.
You did have Andrew Johns, who was taking some people up to show them the top of Mt Wellington.
He's not from overseas.
No, he wasn't, but his friends were. They were from the mainland.
That's what I was talking about when I said overseas. So usually
correct.
VK2s
He's
and
like,
threes.
check those weirdos out.
No. Well, he said, because I had lunch with him on Tuesday, and he said, I saw you were up at the mountain. And I went, no, it wasn't me. I was down at Eaglehawk Neck, and that was Murray and Tricky. So anyway, okay.
Look, I think we did pretty well. And look, we flew the flag and sort of had some contacts.
Spot on.
Yeah.
So how many contacts did you end up each?
I had
making?
nearly 130, I think.
Okay,
129, 130.
Yep. What about you, Mel?
And it was just over 50,000
I think I got to like 97 or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got 105.
Yeah.
So I'm doing okay, and I got just shy of 50,000 points,
I
which
started
for
at
a
50,200.
Oh,
for field day,
I've never got anywhere near these points on a field day. Yeah.
just oh my god.
I'm really quite keen to see how did you see the guys in VK3, the VK3 FS, and those guys like
set up in their normal thing.
with the barbecue going and
I
the
know,
awesome sort
correct.
of like the guy cooking all the meals
And they're each running, like each tent's a little their own little frequency.
It's just and look, they had obviously had a really good position. They had really good weather, and they'd set it up really well.
Correct.
And you just go, wow, there's a lot of work gone in there.
And they do. My understanding is they do that every year. So that's their their field day location.
But then talking to Kevin, he said that they were a bit stymied by weather, I think, up there.
Oh, okay.
And they were going to try and meet with that VK2 fella whose name, of course, and I can't remember, that's got the really nice caravan.
Oh, okay.
B something, VK2B something. He's got the really nice caravan set up with a tilt-over tower that lays on the roof with all the microwave antennas on it.
Yeah, okay.
And he's got like all the nice little operating positions, like really nicely done. But they were talking about trying to break records on 3.4 and 5.7 and 10 gigs. They were talking about 250 kilometre contacts on 10 gigs,
10.
and I'm like, ooh, okay, wow. So if they pulled all that stuff off, then
they're up there in the points, well and truly. Okay.
But I think it was 156 kilometres, I think, to Peter for us. I think.
Nothing to seize that.
No, always worth the points to do it.
And look, it was really easy. It was FM full quieting, like
Yeah.
Once you found it.
Well, we only had FM on 9 centimetres.
the far push to talk arrangements.
Yeah, we broke the push to talk thing that plugs into the back of the and those transverters do automatic Vox. So if you're on FM, it works well. If you're on sideband,
Yeah.
I prefer to do hard code.
well, you got to just yell into it and
Right.
you know.
Okay.
But no, look, I think we did good, and I think for next year we can just sort of try and have a bit more.
Well, next field day. Well, our challenge next field day would be have brackets
Yeah. Okay. And
so
the mast up full height and all that
back
sort of stuff.
to
Yes.
back to yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic.
And possibly put the 23 centimetres on the mast too. We've talked about that, but
I think if we could put the amp and the preamp up at the masthead, then we can tune that to the cable length with the LEDs in the SG Lab bizzo, so we can match the length coming out of the 817 so that you basically get green light and say that's the bit of cable for that.
Right.
Okay. That way then you can put it up at the masthead, you've overcome your transmit
Yeah. Okay.
or your receive cable loss.
yeah, because I've got the 50 watt amp running on the bench,
Okay.
and it's only got a 300 millimetre length of hard line to it from the, and it's unhappy about how much power's going on. I had to put an attenuator in line just from the SG Labs transverter, which is designed to work with. It was designed to have a bit of coax in between.
Yeah. Okay. A bit of attenuating coax.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Okay. Oh no. Well, that's fantastic. All right. Excellent. I think we can say
That's the best field day I've worked in possibly ever, actually.
there you go.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, things are looking up, and I have to say things are looking up from a 6 metre point of view during the day, because I get these little alerts on my watch, and
don't just sort of talk about alerts during the day.
I swear at my watch quite a bit, and people go, "What's that about?" And I mean,
Mexicans on 6 metres.
well, and you say something like that, or "Oh, the bloody Guatemalans are coming through," and they go, "What? What's this guy doing?
Yeah,
what's this guy talking about?"
I was working with a guy that was specifically non-ham at a remote site, and my phone went heard all those Mexicans. I'm like, I want to go home.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up? Mexicans on 6 metres.
Yeah, and they sort of look at you, and go, "What? What's that about?" Anyway, I have had a few interesting conversations with non-hams about this, and the fact that during summer the propagation conditions are much better, etc., etc., etc. And this is a band that normally is just local, and during summer it sort of opens up a little bit, and it's called the Magic Band, and you explain.
Well, you don't have to be a ham to understand. I think my wife's listened to me talk about stuff enough now. When she rang to see how I was going, and I said I just worked a guy in Fiji on 6 metres, she knew that was very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, Murray. Very good indeed.
Yes, there's a fair bit learned by osmosis.
In fact, she walked into the shack the other day, and I happened to be listening to 27 meg CB on channel 35, which is always good for a bit of a laugh sometimes. And she walked into the shack, and she sat down on the bed, and she had a phone, and she listened for about 30 seconds. She goes, "Are you listening to the CB?" I'm like, "Yeah."
There you go. I love it. Absolutely love it.
So,
Oh no, good stuff. Stick around because you may have some questions. Just to finish off, and we're at 8:20, so we'll finish off pretty quick. I did a presentation on the class license a couple of ATV nights ago, and I have had a number of emails and a number of Discord conversations around the class license. One of the things that you will have, if you have supplied your email address to the ACMA, you will have something that looks very similar to this, a letter of confirmation on the 12th of January, which talks about the move to the class license on the 19th of February, etc., 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 and it goes all the way through, and on the second page, it will list your call signs that they know about for you, just here. So your highest level of recognised qualification is advanced type, so they confirm that, that's good. And if your call sign is still active on the 19th of February, the 2 or 3 letter call sign that you have been assigned to you are or is VK7TW. So very happy with that. And can I just say, you don't have to do anything. So long as those details...
20th of February.
The only thing that I considered that I needed to do was possibly go and change my email address on record.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how we get to change that afterwards because we no longer are able to...
No, okay. You will end up being able to log in, and I suspect they're going to tell us about this in the not too distant future.
When they get it built.
Future. You're going to be able to go to the No, they've already built this. This is the ACMA Assist website. So if you've ever used Spectra in behind and Radcom or whatever else, there is an ACMA Assist portal.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way that you are going to be able to then log in and
verify details
and update your details and all sorts of things. So I'm sure that they will tell you about that in the not too distant future. So that's how you. But
and like if I don't have this email address in 5 years, like I've retired or won the lottery or
well and truly,
what have you, it's coming to my work email address. I'm like,
and you would have retired by
me, and then they might go no response and cancel it, which would be sad.
Quite possibly, there needs to be some protocols that they'll need to come up with for this sort of thing, because effectively, you won't have an end date.
Yeah.
The assignment period that I talked about in that presentation, the assignment period only applies, really, when you think about it, to VK0, VK9, special event call signs, your contest call signs. And so for those call signs, they all have a 12-month assignment period. So whoever has those call signs will get a letter or an email every 12 months, and they will have to actually pay the money every 12 months.
Because that's not a class license. That's
it's still a class license,
okay.
but it is a special call sign, effectively.
Yeah.
If you've got just your normal call sign, which appeared in the letter, that effectively does not have an end date. It doesn't have an assignment period associated with it, or it's got an end date which is in 2022, 2022, 2022, 2020, 2022,
22,
or whatever, in the future, in the distant future. And what they'll be doing is every 5 years, which is what you're talking about, every 5 years checking with you to see whether you still need the call sign. But if your email address or your contact details or your address has changed, which is quite possible, and I think what we'll probably end up doing is, in cooperation with, say, the WIA or that, there will be regular reminders to say, please remember to go into your ACMA Assist portal and update your details, because the ACMA are not going to be able to communicate with you if you don't. So I think that's the sort of thing. But can I just say, these sort of protocols are to be worked through in the fullness of time.
As Humphrey would say.
And
Correct.
don't affect anybody for at least the next 5 years.
Oh no, correct. And you still, in all of this, you can still contact the ACMA on their 1-800 number, and in fact, they have told us they've beefed up their call centre capacity. I think it's in Melbourne. Their call centre people in Melbourne to know about the transition, and everybody who I've spoken to who have contacted them have had a good experience. They've fixed the problem. They've, given them the information, or they've done whatever. So I certainly don't have anything negative to say about the ACMA right at the moment, because they are working their guts out trying to get this
That's all we can ask for, I guess.
happening. So yeah. Now, lots and lots of... Unfortunately, the letter... Can I just say, I think the letter's a little bit complex. It's sort of overly complex. It's a bit public service speak.
It's thorough.
It's thorough. Yeah, I like that. That's good. So quite a few questions around the surrender clause. The whole thing about surrender is, if you've paid your call sign fee, your apparatus license fee,
you want to get a $17 refund for part of your thing, you can
and there is greater than 294 days left on your license on the 19th of February 2024, then what you can do is surrender your apparatus license and get a refund of a proportion, a pro rata proportion of the tax component of your license fee.
Like our license is what, $51 a year?
But that's important to some people. So so what this is about is you're surrendering your apparatus license on the 19th of February. Don't surrender it earlier because
you'll be unlicensed.
You're unlicensed. So
Might pay to leave it a couple of days after the night.
correct. So there'll be a transition period. There'll be a grace period, if you like. That's what we've been told. But you can, if there is more than 294 days left, you can get some sort of refund. So that's what it's about. If you have multiple call signs, now somebody's contacted me who has 2 call signs, and only 1 call sign appeared in the letter.
Oh, okay.
What I have suggested they do is give the call centre a call.
Yep.
And say that, because they may or may not have missed it, or it may be a second letter, or whatever.
There may not have been the option to have 2 call signs in the form letter or something.
Correct.
Oh, no, there is.
So
It is worded as if you...
Oh, as if I've got more.
Yeah.
That's how that's the default template. So my advice is give them a call. Give them a call, and I mean an actual call on their 1-800 number. Because the experiences have been really good. So that's the questions that I've got. If I get more questions, we'll do another little segment on future DATV nights. But anyway, so thank you, Murray. Thank you, Richard.
Pleasure, as always.
And I agree. A really, really good field day. Fantastic field day. So yeah. So anyway, that's our show for tonight. There'll be another one next week, and I had some good feedback about the Z80, the Z80 piece last week. So I thought I'll put it out there and see whether there's any interest. So there's a little bit of interest. So we might have maybe a little Z80 interlude in a future program. So anyway, a little bit of a blast from the past. So there you go. Anyway. 73, have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you next week. This has been VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Nights. 73.
73.
Night.
Cheers.